Please join me in welcoming John Moses, a retired Army veteran and co-founder of the Mass Afghan Alliance. Drawing on his military experience and deep commitment to justice, John has dedicated himself to supporting Afghan communities in Massachusetts and beyond, advocating for their rights, safety, and well-being.
Thank you, Maynard. First of all, I want to say thank you to Brian. Brian is also a veteran and all the veterans in the crowd. And I'm going to start off today. Thank you, guys, and thank you for having me. I'm using my phone because earlier my paper blew away and it was kind of an interesting speech. Before we start, we are in a veterans park, and I'm going to start by saying this. America is at war. And we are going to read the 14 names of the service members that have died in the past several weeks, followed by a brief moment of silence, and then we'll start the speech. Major John Kleiner, Captain Ariana Savino, Technical Sergeant Ashley Pruitt, Captain Seth Koval, Captain Curtis Angst, Technical Sergeant Tyler Simmons, Sergeant Benjamin Pennington, Major Davius Sorfley, Major Jeffrey O'Brien, Captain Cody Cork, Sergeant Declan Cody, Sergeant First Class Nicole Amore, Sergeant First Class Noah Titien, Chief Warrant Officer 3 Robert Marzan. Just a brief moment, please. There we go. At a time like this, scorching irony, not convincing argument is needed. Oh, had I the ability to reach the nation's ear, I would today pour out a fiery stream of biting ridicule, blasting reproach, withering sarcasm, and stern rebuke. For it is not light that is needed, but fire. It is not the gentle shower, but thunder. We need the storm, the whirlwind, and the earthquake. The feeling of the nation must be quickened. The conscience of the nation must be roused. The propriety of the nation must be startled. And the hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed. And its crimes against God and man must be proclaimed and announced. Frederick Douglass, a founding father in any word, spoke those words in 1852 to an all-white audience on the 4th of July in Rochester, New York, talking about the hypocrisy of 4th of July to a slave. America is at war, and we gather here today on your town green as a community to reflect on what we have lost together. Our children, our grandchildren, and a new generation have again asked them in sacrifice for a nation again unmoored from its obligations to her people. Yes, go for it. If anybody wants to be a hype person, just feel free. Now that we've had a moment to reflect on the immeasurable loss of those 14 service members, remember that they have served our country with honor and distinction, as Americans always have when called. But the question we must ask ourselves today is simple. Why have we sent our children, our grandchildren, and our neighbors to face danger, to bear the separation from their families? What glorious purpose has our country chosen to sacrifice another generation of Americans to the sword of conquest? Shame. Have we made these choices on our own behalf? No. Or have we made them for a foreign power, unaccountable to any American voter, pursuing an agenda of genocide and global instability? These are not new questions. Americans have asked them before at great cost and written the answers down for us to find. The 12th grievance of the colonies. He has affected to render the military independent and superior to the civil power. Wars without consent, lives and fortunes taken without a national purpose. In today's world, that means simply this. Our nation has taken direction from foreign powers, and in doing so, has fought to silence the voice of you, the popular sovereigns. Shame. After 9/11, many people in this crowd watched as their children volunteered for the noble purpose of protecting our own country. I am one of those children. Brian is one of those children. Many of you are some of those children. And we learned, and we grew, and we fought for a better America despite our country's long march towards the failure of Afghanistan and the promise to our people. Ask yourself, did you choose a war with Iran?
No!
That's right. In 2002, we were winning in Afghanistan. We had the momentum, the mission, and the moral clarity of a nation, oh, there it is, defending itself. Then we took our eye off the ball. Not because Afghanistan was finished or we had completed our mission, but because people like Benjamin Netanyahu lobbied our government and pushed our attention towards Iraq, toward a war that had nothing to do with the men who attacked on September 11th, and everything to do with the government of Israel's regional ambitions. We paid for those decisions in American blood. 7,000 American service members killed across Iraq and Afghanistan. 30,000 wounded, and a generation of veterans still paying the cost in ways that never make the evening news. Shame. And now we see the same pattern repeated. Before the first strike, before the first missile landed on Iran, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman conducted his own campaign. Weeks of lobbying private citizens, back-channel pressure, private assurances offered to Americans hungry for a deal. Not a partner acting in our interest, a separate foreign power pursuing its own regional ambitions, using the American military might as the instrument. Two governments, two agendas, one America, off track. None of these people are answerable to this crowd, not a single American voter, and yet both had a hand in sending your children and your neighbors' children to a war you never chose. These are not alliances. This is a system which foreign powers compete for influence over American blood, and our leaders let them in. Shame. Thank you. By the way, I also like beer. The government of Israel I want to be clear, has conducted a campaign of genocide against civilian populations while asking Americans to now fund it, fight it, and die for it. Shame. America has warned us of foreign entanglements since its founding. Little guy named George Washington. I'm surprised some people haven't heard of him. The founders expected our leaders to fight for our causes with the consent of the people through their representatives, not at the direction of foreign governments. And now Iran, with 14 more names, and actually on the way down, I heard there's more. There's more casualties. Were read aloud on this screen. I want to speak to you, though, now as not as just a citizen reciting grievances, but as a soldier who believed. Post 9/11, the GWAT generation truly believed we were part of something larger, and that we were told that our service would reshape the world, that we would bring freedom to places that had never seen it, that we would protect our families in our country, so that my children and your grandchildren would never have to go to war for something without meaning or purpose. We believed in the mountains of Afghanistan, in the villages, and in the hard conversations with people who had known nothing but occupation and violence. We built something there that reflected who we were, a force that looked like America, that acted like a kind America, and we represented America. Over the years, we lost focus. The promises made to our veterans of opportunity, of care, in a nation that would be waiting for us to lead grew quieter and quieter until people could no longer hear us. And now the institutions we've built and the values we bled into service have been leveled without debate, without ceremony, without a single thought. Shame. Thanks. I know, I kind of go fast, but I know what this cycle costs, and many of my friends do too, and not in the abstract. I lost a friend once to an overdose, a senior enlisted. He had risen through the ranks during the war. He was the kind of leader America needed, capable, committed, decorated, and he came home carrying things he could not talk about. He faced his demons alone, and one day he could not face them anymore. I've stood at other funerals. A soldier that served with me in Afghanistan. He died by suicide, right next to some of his best friends. As a senior ranking soldier, it fell to me to carry his awards to the front of that room and place them in his mother's hands. Over 50 people from Massachusetts flew to Florida where he lived. 50. Men and women who stood beside him, who knew what he carried, who had carried it themselves. And I remember very clearly closing my eyes as I handed this award to his mother, and I could feel the soldiers next to me, and I could hear people crying. And all I could remember was the incredible love that our soldiers brought and carried out and carried to his mother, but it was too much. Shame.
Shame.
No one said anything as we left. There was nothing left to say. The country had already said everything it was going to say. It started with funding cuts, in closed VA centers, in the suicides and overdoses that never make the evening news, and in the promises that dissolved quietly year after year while people who made them moved on to the next election. Shame. That is the cost. It is not the number. It is not the statistic. It is the silence of a family in a room full of people who loved their son. So what must we do now? These are not the outcomes of a nation acting in its own values. These are the outcomes of a nation that lost its voice, that allowed the hand that paid for the vote to define what America stands for in the world. So let's ask yourselves, who will pay the real price for these policies? The American people, the Jewish people, the Iranian people, and children and children and children all over the world. Who will fill the ranks? The poor, the middle class, Black Americans, brown Americans, and everybody else that doesn't have a future because they have trashed the economy and all of the opportunity. Their children, however, though, will live in peace while your sons and daughters are asked to soak their blood again into the deserts and mountains, leaving only memories for those who remain. Shame. Now here's my ask. We must overwhelm our politicians. Sorry, Senator and Representative. Write letters. Fill out the form online. Tell them how angry you are. With your own voice, tell them how afraid you are. Tell them with our votes. No more votes that benefit foreign powers. No more treasure spent in the service of foreign crowns. No more representatives who answer to Tel Aviv or Riyadh before they answer to you. We must all stand on our morals as soldiers, as parents, and as citizens, and demand a future worthy of the sacrifices that have already been made. The lives of service members are to be handled with the greatest care, and that is not a request, that is a demand. I am a child of war. I deployed because I believe this country is worth the cost, and I have stood at too many funerals. I still believe this country is worth the cost. Yes. And so while I am a child of war, I will not become a father to war. So I'm going to say this, no king now. No king tomorrow. No king forever. My name is Sergeant First Class John Moses, and I'm going to say one more thing. With peace in your hands and love in your heart and the strongest possible voice, give me one more, no kings! No kings! Mass 5051, thank you very much.